of money to the housing sector is still minimal, and we need to work a lot. We have a long process to go on this. So after giving you just some tentative look, I would say, we can go into a bit a formal presentation on the things related to the construction sector in Palestine. Population, we're talking roughly about 4 million, both West Bank, Gaza. The average household size in the Palestinian territory is around 7. So 7 people lives in one house, among which it will be around 6.6 in the West Bank and 7.8, which is around 8 in Gaza. This average differs between refugee camps, cities, and villages. As you see, it's 6.7 in cities, 6.8 in villages, but it's 7.7 in refugee camps. The average housing density in the Palestinian territory in general is 1.6 person per room. That's the average. The average for the West Bank is 1.5. For Gaza, it's 1.8, for reasons you can understand about Gaza. About 10% of the households in the Palestinian territory live in housing units with 3 persons or more per room, including 12% in Gaza and 8% in the West Bank. 3 per room. That's the average. The results of the Housing Conditions Survey 2010, which was done by the Bureau of Statistics, indicated that almost less than 1% of households in the Palestinian territory live in a villa, and 48% live in a separate house, and 50% live in apartments. Just for comparison, if we go to the year 2000, 82% used to live in houses, and 18% only in apartments. Going into apartments is a new phenomenon 10 years ago. And again, the reason is the prices of land that has forced people to go into high-rise buildings and to live in apartments. The average monthly paid rent for a housing, this is an average, and I'm talking here about housing, for the whole West Bank and Gaza, as you see, is around 115 JDs, which is around $150. So $150 is the average rent per house or per apartment. This average increased to reach around $220, this is JDs, in 2010, among which is a bit high in the West Bank, around $220, $230, and in Gaza it's around $180 roughly. That's the average, and remember, in our case we have a major difference that our rental law does not allow owners to increase the rent. So the rent that is there since 1929 is still the same, 1 dinar per year, and that's it. So people, that's why still the average rental is extremely low, although when you go into youngsters and young households, it becomes around the $500 per apartment, but for the old ones, it's around still $20 and $30 per apartment per year, not per month even. About 72% of the households in the Palestinian territory need new housing units. That's in a survey. We asked them, do you need to build another housing unit in the coming 10 years? He has to calculate his children and how much they need, etc. So 72 will need that, among which 37% of that figure can afford to build additional housing units. And then we have 2/3 of the population will not be able. They are generally either around the poverty level or under the poverty. They are not bankable, I have to say. These are the around 60%, the non-bankable houses or families who cannot afford to have housing units. Contribution of construction sector to GDP. As you see, in 99, we used to have in the construction sector around 1.5 billion. That's the investment in construction. Now it's around $500 million in 2010. We're 1/3 now compared to what we used to have just 12 years ago. We are trying our best to reach only the figure that we have started 12 years ago. That's the cycle. See how the cycle have dramatically went down in the year 2001 after the Intifada, from almost 1.5 in 99 to almost 800 in the year 2001, 50% reduction, and then it continued for a long period of time till now. The construction sector is catching up, however, it's taking much more time than required for one basic reason. Gaza is out of calculation. Gaza is still under siege, housing is not available. 40% of the population are not utilizing their resources for the housing sector. So basically, that's why whatever we do in the West Bank, whatever you do in Ramallah, you are still trying to compensate for a loss of 40% of the market that is there in Gaza. The gross value added for construction activities increased during the first quarter of 2011. It's a promising note, compared to the fourth quarter of 2010 by